I'm a mother of 2 students. I live in Buckinghamshire and I'm an interior designer.
I'm a student.
I'm a doctor.
I went into business for 17 years.
A self-employed window cleaner.
The daughter of a policeman. I run my own business.
I'm a mother and a circus performer.
CEO of a healthcare company that provides scanning services to the NHS.
I come from originally from an engineering background.
I was an engineer and I worked in the oil and gas industry.
I think the most important thing is that I'm a mum of small children.
When we realize that we are living in a time of emergency, that we will see everything that we love collapse in front of our eyes in the very, very near future, you ask yourself, what can I do?
I'm terrified of the impacts of the breakdown of our climate on people's health, safety and well-being, and I don't see anyone else acting in a proportionate way to stop the harm that's coming.
I feel a huge sense of personal responsibility for the damage that I've done.
I've just got sick and tired of watching governments and people in power not doing anything about the climate and ecological emergencies.
Business as usual has exacted almost an irreversible damage on the planet.
We don't have any time to waste. You know, the science is absolutely clear. We have to listen to the science.
Everything is at stake, not just the human species. We're looking at the end of life.
So there's a 10% chance that we'll reach 7 degrees of warming. Life cannot survive with 7 degrees warming.
Every 24 hours, we're seeing around 200 species of plant, mammal, bird and insect going extinct, disappearing forever.
I think we're going to hit economic collapse, food shortages, refugee crisis and war, pretty much in that order.
They reckon that you know, the 7 billion people on this planet, probably only 1 billion are going to make it.
And that's an incredibly hard thing to look at.
No one's coming to rescue us and we can't do it alone.
In 1992 I was 10 years old. The knowledge that we now have, that I now have, was already widespread and all the governments were aware of it and they signed a treaty to say that we must change our ways, and it didn't happen.
When you have these systemic structures that don't allow you to make change, the necessary change that you need to make, then sometimes you have to do things differently.
We have to face up to the fact that things have to fundamentally change, and we're not even beginning to sit down and have that conversation amongst ourselves yet. And that's what we need to do, and that's what XR is inviting us to do.
There is nothing like it, quite frankly, out there at the moment, and we need mass movement to make change happen.
I was absolutely blown away by the ethos of XR, non-violent disruptive action and direct action. I thought that was very powerful.
Considering we have no leader, no exact hierarchical structure, it's the most well-organized group that I've ever been a part of.
And it wasn't until I got involved with XR that I realised we can actually make a difference.
When I found XR, I found a place where I wasn't seen as, you know, the crazy environmentalist, but I was actually seen as a person who understands the severity of the climate crisis on the rest of the world and the love that comes with it as well. It is not a divisive issue. It is an issue that should unite everyone and everybody should be involved. And I think that's really what puts me wearing this badge.
We're trying to look after each other and look after ourselves, and we're trying to build the future that we want for tomorrow.
The hope is that we can just have a better society.
There's a quote from Robert Swan: "The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it." We actually have so many people that can do something and that can do something right now, but they're not doing it.
And I would just implore anybody who's got influence to just ask themselves what's important, what do they value the most, what do they stand to lose, and from that point use that grief of what's being lost to power them forward to speak more truthfully and to act as honourably as they feel able.
Most people are trying to do their bit, and I think it's awful that that isn't enough at this stage. We know that there's around 100 companies producing around 71% of the global carbon emissions. We all understand that this is a crisis and it needs to be faced as though it is one.
That there's a real difference between intellectually understanding this crisis and emotionally understanding it.
Just look straight at the problem and look at it deeply
and understand what it means for us as a race.
Stand with XR, be brave, say this is an emergency, tell the truth about it.
We have to do what's necessary, not what's politically expedient.
If we don't actually get thinking, get acting now, the scope for damage is going to be astronomical. And we must fight. That's all that we can do.
You know that there's a problem, and you know that you have an influence and you can change things within your own company, within your own family, within your own friends.
So if you are in a position of influence, whether it's in politics or business, you need to bring pressure to bear so that the government can do the things that it needs to do to bring about the changes that we need.
Don't be complicit in the destruction of the environment. We don't have to follow orders. We can make a difference. We can change things.
Look at the longer term, bigger picture and not the current economic climate and short-term profits.
It may seem daunting, it may seem scary, it may seem like a big ask, but it will take us to a more beautiful world.
It needs to be all of us collectively saying we want change and we want change now.
Listen to the scientists, look at the empirical evidence.
Take the small amount of time that is needed to really understand the seriousness of the situation. Think about what it's going to mean in your life, embrace what is needed, and then do it.
Join in and help us get the people in power to change things. Because without that, we're not going to save ourselves, and we haven't got a lot of time left.
So we really, really need each other.
This is their last attempt to do something for the planet.
The invitation is to take a deep look at yourself and ask yourself, what am I here for? What good can I do in the short time that I'm around?